Alright friends, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment, your YouTube channel dedicated to helping you get better at Bannerlord through the use of field command and advanced tactics. And again, today we have a continuation of this northern spike of our campaign. Things have started to go very, very badly in our overall campaign, and so I've decided to take this side branch up into the north. In the south, we're really left with just a few small possessions. I have a castle in the citadel, the main capital of Epicrotea, and we have a very large army that we've invaded. This is, I guess, Sturgian territory up here in the frozen wastes. Might eventually try to take Sibir as well, but our target today is Varnovopol, this little big city rather on the edge of this enormous lake here. We have a force of almost 2,000 men. We've reinforced a couple other garrisons on the way up here as we've taken other cities and castles. And effectively, the idea of this component of the campaign is to sort of concentrate our realm, because we're being attacked by all other 8 kingdoms. For those who don't know, in a purposeful death match here against all 8 other kingdoms, we are I'm trying to basically limit how the enemy can attack me. At least up here in the north with the strategic map, they don't have, 4 different directions they can attack us like they've been doing so for quite a long time. So we're trying to add this to the empire here. I'm trying to add this city. I might attack Sibir as well. I'm concerned about my capital down there, of course, being largely undefended. Of course, it has a good-sized garrison, but it's still vulnerable. So we're going to try to rush this city, sort of siege it as fast as we can. Oh, hello. We got some Khazate forces checking us out here. Can't imagine they're going to attack us. It says defending Varnovopol. Very Russian-sounding name. Defending Varnovopol. Okay. Well, they're not defending. They're just observing, it looks like. And they can observe their city fall here in a second when we rush this keep. All sieges, I do normal player damage. I'm going to change out my weapon loadout as usual. I like to have more javelins in a keep siege or keep defense. It just gives you more flexibility as a foot troop. If you have no projectile weapons at all in a keep siege, you don't have a lot of other things to do other than stand around sometimes and kind of look at the guys shooting at your guys on the wall. So I like to have 3 bags of large javelins. And not surprisingly, the Khazate force is taking off. So all I'm doing here is building a ram and one, I don't know, actually I don't even know if I got 1 war tower up, but we're just going to try to rush this keep. We're going to come in fast with the 8th Corps. At this stage of the campaign, desperation is taking over. I don't even think I'm going to waste too much time assigning units here. Strategically I could spend a long time looking at all my units here, but I'm just going to stick to 8th Corps in one big group. We're going to probably try to rush, I'm not sure which side, we're going to try to rush one of these, so I got 1 siege tower. We're going to try to rush one of these ladders with the 8th Corps, with them supporting with artillery, and try to get into the keep fast, make a puncture in their defenses, get a foothold, and then get supporting troops up there to attack. These ladders here will do. We're going to rush this in a hurry. So I'm calling the 8th Corps to follow me. And they're coming up rapidly. A lot of these guys have high athleticism, which is helpful here. They're going to be able to get here quicker since they don't have a horse. They give them the kill them all command, and what that does, F1, F3 in this situation, they're pushing my ladders off. What that does is it gets guys up the ladders as aggressively as they can. Now this is a very risky tactic, because if the enemy all of a sudden starts to get a good defense line set around these ladders, of course we're going to be dealing with the old meat grinder where the enemy has a huge amount of defenders. These fucking lazy guys, get this ladder up here. You make the fucking Jarl lift the ladder up. Alright, so those guys are starting to climb that ladder now. Make sure they're on charge. F1, F3 in that situation basically makes the troops go up there as fast as possible. On this side, I've got a siege tower going. It's taking a lot of fire. In fact, actually, I think it just got destroyed. Yeah. So we're down to the ladder in the main ram. So our options are limited here. That said, we're still going to try to rush this. These guys are getting pounded over here. That's fine. We're going to suffer some casualties on this. The key is not suffering too many casualties. And sort of counterintuitively, sometimes you suffer more casualties by being defensive. If you just sort of sit back and sort of try to make a foothold slowly, it gives the enemy time to set up. It gives the enemy time to get a defensive line set up, archers, artillery set up. In this case, we're just going to rush this puncture. And I can already tell by the amount of little orange glowing blobs that are up there, those are my troops up there, that we have enough guys here to make a rush. So in we go. I can throw a few javelins here. Just waste some of their guys up there. It's pushing them back. Our guys are starting to push in. Oh shit. Well, I'm killing my own guys as usual, but still, we've got a puncture here. We've got high-level troops, and this is our 8th Corps. So I now want these guys aggressively pushing in. These are our best troops. The enemy's making a nice defensive surge here against us, but we're going to fucking go toe-to-toe in this instance. As the Jarl here, I'm really forced to fight it out. At this stage of the campaign, almost every battle seems desperate. I can't afford significant casualties, and obviously we can't afford to lose a battle at this stage of the campaign. We're down to one big army. We no longer have even supporting armies. We have a handful of nobles that might have small armies of 100 or 150 men, but we're it as far as the big force. We're sort of invading Russia here. Bringing some archers up, trying to set them on the walls here, because at some point I should be able to push on these wall edges, and any troops that are approaching, we should be able to fire on them with arrows. I apologize for those that get dizzy by the first-person perspective, but sometimes you need it when you're in tight quarters like that. All right, these guys are making hay like they always do, right? These elite troops of ours. This is no problem for them. Let me help this guy. And this side is undefended, which is interesting. I might be able to use that to our advantage. Of course, in this siege, we're going to win. At this stage, anybody watching, anybody who's familiar at all with Bannerlord can tell that we're going to win. Smoke some guys over there with the javelin. Oh shit, they do have a large defensive force. It seems like it's so large, it's lagging up my computer. I don't know, maybe that's pathfinding. Hopefully this clears. There we go. All right, so that might have also been my troops surging through the gate. Oh, this motherfucker. You ain't throwing rocks on our guys. Hey, these rocks, that gives me a good idea. Thanks for the idea, friend. Let's break some shit here, and then we'll be able to lob rocks, I think, right down, yeah, right onto the enemy with their own rocks. I've got some guys here supporting me. They're holding back the enemy charging up that ladder, and we can just rain the enemy's defense artillery things right on their own asses. I'm not even looking here. I just know there was a big blob of the enemy there, and I'm just hammering them with these rocks. Not a whole lot of strategy here other than throw a big heavy thing on the head of fucking the defenders. Be a little bit more accurate with my aim, that we would kill a bunch of guys. In some instances, this is much more effective than actually fighting, right? Like I'm killing, basically with no risk, 4, 5, 6 guys every few seconds. You'd be hard-pressed to do that with a weapon. I wish I had a dozen more rocks. Just take a look at the rest of the surroundings here. I've got lots of javelins still, so I can keep throwing javelins and get some archers spread out up here, be able to rain down on these guys. They got a lot of archers covering up here, though, so it's probably not going to be very effective. battle is over. The day is lost. These should be my fucking defenders. I started out originally with the culture of Sturgia. It seems like forever ago now. You know, it must have been 15 months ago in real life, and some 5,000 game days. I think we're actually at day 5,500, which is probably more than almost anybody else has played a campaign to, unless you're just intentionally fast forwarding it. I'd be curious to know if any of you have had a campaign as far as 5,500 days. Look at this slaughter, Jesus. What's sad about this, though, is that these are all Sturgians, right? It's kind of like a civil war almost at this stage. Now they're in the Khuzait blue, the Khuzait light blue. It's actually kind of picturesque here, even with all the limbs and body parts strewn about. But this red and blue here in the snow, it's both beautiful and kind of sad because you know, this is my original kingdom. I was a vassal of Sturgia. Like most players, of course, I eventually decided that my king was doing a shit job leading the kingdom, so I formed a branch of my own. You know, of course, there's been many a war since then, but ultimately these are like countrymen here at these Sturgians. So it's kind of sad looking down at just this enormous pile of carcasses. I don't know what's taking so long here. I think my guys are chasing their troops to the keep. There might also be, sometimes the enemy will get stuck in a spot where you can't, your troops can't get to them. In any case, so this is the culminating stage of the campaign. Epicrotea was one of our first capitals, not first capital, but the first major city I took, and it's remained my capital ever since. That's where I keep most of my stashed weapons. I've got a big garrison there. That's been a critical point for us. There, the battle's over. That's been a critical point for us, but I've decided to move back into sort of my original homeland, you can call it, up here. Try to take a few of these cities. Here, we'll get on this little additional part is if the enemy retreats to the keep, you have this sort of cinematic stage where you rush the keep. There's no strategy to this. Like I think I've fought in 50 or 100 of these, and the enemy never wins. It's just I guess it's like for cinematic purposes, right? You got these handful of desperate guys trying to defend the keep. Not really going to work. Especially because I have like my 8th Corps here. These hardcore guys just destroying everything in sight. As usual, I release all enemy nobles. There's no troops here. That's disappointing because I could really use more troops in this campaign. I'm going to have to leave a garrison here, and that's going to make it even harder to defend this and then return to my citadel. I say return to my citadel because after I take a couple of cities and castles here, I have the intention of heading back to Epicrotea to try to defend. I know it's going to be attacked. I'm surprised it's not already under attack, but when it does become under attack, I imagine it's going to be a very large force because I have a very large garrison there and a huge amount of militia. So this campaign continues. It's in the very late stages. It's a very difficult stage. I've got this Khuzait force here to deal with, and of course the whole rest of the map. Yeah, you see almost 1,200 defenders there. So I may end up trying to take Sibir up here. I might try to go as far as Tayal. That would be about as far east as I feel comfortable going. But at this stage, we're going to play this campaign out to the very last gasp. All right, so now we're going to head back to Epicrotea here and defend. I've got to deal with this Khuzait force that I was watching observe me at Varnavapol We're going to try to chase these guys down. I don't think we're going to try to attack Sibir. I've got a castle under siege, and of course my capital might be next. 1,200 troops there. Of course, Revel, we used to hold Revel. The enemies, the Aserai, are making huge inroads to our territory here. But again, I wanted this choke point here. This river crossing here will allow us to attack the enemy as they come at us, instead of them coming at us from 4 different sides. So we've got quite a few injuries here still from the siege, but we're going to be able to, I think, we're moving faster so far. We're going to be able to chase down this Khazate force and make sure there's no enemies in our backfield here when we head back to our capital. I gotta change my weapon loadout. I forgot I had that extra tranche of javelins. Where's my, there we go, crafted polearm. This is old remnant from my grandfather. He was the smith in the family. He made a couple of custom weapons, and more than a couple really. But we've got you know, a couple dozen really nasty custom weapons from a bygone era that we're still putting to good use. I'm sure he'd be happy to know, right? His little digital pixels would be happy to know that we're still killing people with the weapons he crafted. And in we go against this fairly large Khazate force. Now this is an unusual battle, a battle in which we outnumber the enemy here. And this is a disaster battlefield for the Khazate. It is a very narrow battlefield, and that is not going to allow them to do a lot of the things that they normally would do to have success. Khazate, of course, rely on horse archers. Genghis Khan would never fight in this type of a battlefield, or at least he would try to never fight in this type of a battlefield, because it doesn't allow them to encircle us. This is almost like custom made. It's almost like the developers designed this singular map to allow Sturgia a map in their home territory to defend against Khazate. If you're playing Sturgia and having problems against Khazate, just make sure you're in this map area, because you should be able to massacre them. We outnumber them slightly, so we were going to win this battle anyways, but with this kind of a map setup, I think we're going to be able to put an absolute ass whipping on these Khazate horse boys. What I'm doing is I'm sort of forming an inverted V, or I guess in this case it's not an inverted V, it's a normal shaped V. Archers behind, of course, and then I have 2 different shield wall cav divisions protecting our archers and our infantry, right? In the initial stages against the Khazate, you're going to face a huge amount of horse archers. What I'm planning on doing in this battle is trapping them, right? On that far left side of the map over there, I've got a cav division. That's my 3rd cav over there. I'm going to effectively try to lure them in and then encircle them while we shoot them with arrows, shoot them with 10,000 arrows, and also get cav behind them. So I'm moving our troops back here a little bit. This is not necessarily kiting. This is just me noticing that the map layout, the elevation is better further back, so I'm just repositioning some troops back. On this right flank, I've got my 6th skirmishers, 8th elite 8th division, and a 2nd cav division with I think the 5th archers are back there as well. And at this stage, all we want to do is sort of skirmish with these horse archers until it's obvious we have a chance to sort of encircle and destroy them. They're already driving in pretty hard. Very poor strategy, right? The rest of their forces are sort of staying back. If you play Khazate, obviously you would never want to employ this strategy. Yeah, all their forces are just staying back and relying on these horse archers to skirmish. I guess the idea, whoever wrote this code, this strategy for Khazate is like, well, we'll soften them up with our horse archers and then send in the main force. Well, that's a very, very nice idea, but all we're going to do here is put units behind them and then have that 3rd cav division that's in front of them charge them. And then we're going to attack with the 8th and 7th Corps at the same time. So they're getting shot, they're being attacked by multiple different cav divisions, and they're effectively being sandwiched as well. This is going to be a very bad result for the Khazate. Trying to keep an eye on the rest of their force. Nobody's coming up to support them. And it's all Khazate death. You see that cav division over there is slowing them down a lot. It's creating a traffic jam of sorts. And we just mow through their horse archers here. Of course, horse archers are deadly because they move. If they can't move, they're fucking dead. So I'll kill the large tranche of them there, and we'll reset our little death chamber here. Using these two nice little elevation hills to put archers on. You always want your archers on a hill, unless the enemy has more archers than you. I had someone ask me that question recently and said, what if I'm outnumbered? If I have less archers than the enemy? Well, definitely don't put them on a hill then, because what's going to happen is your guys are going to get shot because they're in clear vision of the enemy. If you have less archers than the enemy, one of the strategies you want to employ is flanking with your archers. You want to sort of use the main body. Here comes the rest of their force. You want to sort of use the main body of your forces to sort of occupy the enemy, and then when the enemy's sort of occupied with your main force, then you move your smaller amount of archers to the flank. Right? Of course, if you have less archers than the enemy, that's not your Calradia war. That's not your main way that you're going to be winning those battles. Right? It's a support force. And a lot of my battles, my archers are paramount, right? At this stage, we've got like 100 Britannian Fiend champs, or maybe we have 80. We've had over 100 at some points. And so, of course, we take advantage of that, very powerful archers. But I've also developed very strong 8th and 6th corps. These are elite units with very high-level skills. A lot of them have 300 crossbow. And so a lot of my strategy revolves around attacking the enemy at range, and then using concentrated attacks when they come in to attack our ranged troops. Right? It's a somewhat of a defensive. I mean, it can be used offensively. I see their infantry. I think their infantry body is there moving in. I'm gonna have to move quick here. We're gonna collapse on their infantry division. So I've got skirmishers here. We just started shifting them into place. I'm dragging, of course, the 7th Corps. That's a bunch of horse archers. Now I'm calling the 2nd Cav. Okay, they're going to meet our shield wall there, but I'm going to have those guys basically hold the line there. In come our 6th Corps, in come our 8th Corps, and you can see what I'm doing. I'm effectively just putting them right behind, right? It's an Oreo sandwich with dead Khazate in the middle. Probably doesn't taste as good. Now they're close enough to attack. Kill them all. Now we can send the 1st. They're in a shield wall, just holding it up. Been a total massacre. The enemy doesn't attack, of course, we'll advance, but as long as the enemy wants to keep advancing into our death chamber here, they can come. Yeah, here they come. So on this side, I didn't explain earlier, I have that heavy cav line with the infantry line that does two things. If you're not using heavy cav lines, you need to. One of the major advantages of it is it stops enemy cavalry better than your own infantry does. A line of 2 or 3 deep heavy cav is almost impervious to enemy cav. They just can't even get through it, which of course allows these archers up here to shoot everything in sight full of arrows. And get this 7th horse archers. These guys are starting to annoy me. We'll move them back. I can use that rock formation there as sort of a defensive line and protect against both flank attacks and archers being able to shoot our troops. Eventually we'll move up, use that rock wall, and position troops with the safety of that rock wall. So flanking here with the 6th and 8th. Do some javelin work here. I'm not too worried about the troops at this stage. My guy's virtually undamaged. We're going to fly in here, axe time. Still positioning my troops. So we do a little more axe work here. Hopefully you can't hear me savagely clicking my mouse over and over again, right? I've said it before, I'll say it again here. These archers are just totally fucked. They're being surrounded. They've got infantry moving up on them. I mean, these guys, they're getting a kill or two, but these guys are absolutely toast. Just sent my cav division right into them in a square. I'll do that sometimes if there's a large body of archers, and all that does is disrupt the fuck out of them. None of them can shoot because there's a heavy horse right in their face, and then the infantry plows through and kills everything in sight. To finish the point, though, anytime that you have to decide between attacking somebody with your axe or spear or whatever as the leader of your kingdom or commanding, unless you're in a really bad spot, always command. It's always more beneficial for your army to be in charge, to make sure troops are doing what you want them to, rather than you killing those extra 2 guys. So again here, just like I talked about earlier, I saw this opportunity with the rock. We can use this wall here. These guys are protected. You notice no arrows are coming in here. Right, we're still shooting. They're shooting anybody who comes around the edge of that rock. And now we can attack anybody who comes around this corner. Ah, fuck it. We're just going to rush the rest of these sad fucks. Need a horse. At this stage, this is just a concentrated attack of firepower. I mean, it's Sturgian woodsmen, nomads, peasants. Let's fly in here. We can get the 8th Corps on their flank and just plow right through these fucking bathrobe motherfuckers. They're not standing in the way of our empire. Now you guys better run. This is what happens when you fucks attack us without 4 other armies. Total massacre. As we continue our campaign, this deathmatch against all of the 8 kingdoms, I will be trying to do the very best I can to show you viewers, you know, some interesting tactics, as advanced tactics as I've come up with in 15 months of playing the same campaign. I've got both friends, and I've got a colleague of mine. I say a colleague of mine. He's not a colleague of mine. He's an assistant at a local college who assists a professor of war history. We're constantly talking about war tactics, constantly sort of reviewing interesting battles or interesting tactics that have been used. It's definitely one of my passions. And so hopefully we can apply that directly to Bannerlord and show you both historically accurate tactics, but also tactics that I've developed that work really well in this game. You can see here how effective it was. We have 12 total injured guys and only 2 dead. Of course, nobody from our elite 8th Corps. And the Khazate army just dissolves away. So the campaign continues on. I'm contemplating attacking Sibir here. Our citadel, our main capital, is not under siege yet. We now own Varnavapol. We took Takor Castle and held that. and we have ball guard as well. But ultimately, I think I'm going to try to head back to our main homeland here. I say our main homeland, or I guess I'll call it our old homeland of Epicrotea and Macedon Castle here. I've got to trudge through the snow here with this encumbered army, and encumbered because we've been carrying a lot of food throughout this campaign. I might actually have to even dump food on the way out. I'm not retreating out of here. In a way, this reminds me of the retreat from Russia, Napoleon's infamous campaign in 1812. It almost feels like we're retreating to Epicrotea, our castle that's under siege here. It's given me little chills of historical instances. Being stuck up in this frozen waste with this singular last strong army fighting against the entire map. It feels very Napoleon-esque. But we'll continue to show tactics. We'll continue to try to show you things that'll help you benefit your own campaign, your own game. For those just strictly following the campaign, I'll do my best to include most or all battles at this stage. We're at a very perilous stage of the campaign. You can see the whole fucking map. It's just aglow with different colors of enemies that want to kill us. And we have this one last staunch army of ours, this resolute body of 1,400 men. We've got maybe one or two other nobles that I can call to our aid to help us in this last saga. But we really are down just to one last ferocious army fighting against the whole world. If you've enjoyed this series, if you've enjoyed this campaign, let me know. I have contemplated making another campaign at some point afterwards. People seem very interested to watch either my playstyle or how I'm using units or campaign management. Obviously, at this stage, I have a lot of experience. So if you're interested in more of that, let me know. The feedback lets me know there's enough people interested. Please subscribe, make comments. You can make negative comments too, as long as it has some sort of value, like criticism, where I can get better at what I'm doing. All that stuff is fine, fellas. I appreciate all you guys. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you friends next time.